Andrew Marchand, senior sports media consultant, columnist for The Athletic. All right. Help us understand this carriage dispute. And let's say I don't know anything, which you can say, but help me understand how we got here and how it's settled.
Well, how we got here is these disputes have been going on forever. YouTube started YouTube TV in 2017, $35 per month. The idea being cable's too expensive. So, they put this together. It's become pretty popular. 10 million people have it. And now as they grow, where they're in competition with Comcast and Spectrum, who have around 12 million as the biggest places where people get their networks like ESPN, Fox, NBC, etc. They're now $82, $83 a month. So what happens is there's fights all the time between over the years between providers like ESPN. ESPN charges around $15 per month to these entities, and then they pass it on to consumers. And so they are arguing about the price. When you look at Alphabet, which owns Google and YouTube, they are a $3 trillion company. Disney's a $200 billion company. And so I wrote in my column yesterday, it's like rooting for the Dodgers or the Yankees. Nobody wins. The losers are people like you who have YouTube TV, unfortunately, Dan.
How do we make our voices heard? Because ESPN's had their big name talent come out and, I guess, campaign that ESPN's not the bad guy in this.
Yeah, I think the point that I would make is the amount of money these companies make, $3 trillion. That's the market cap around for Alphabet. For Disney, it's $200 billion. So your $80 is not that important to them. So I'm not saying they don't care. I'm not saying they don't care. They do care. I don't think they're insincere and caring at some level. But in terms of this is just pure business. YouTube wants to be treated like the big boys. I could bore people with the actualities of it all, but they want to be treated like the other big entities. ESPN is pointing to the fact that they just easily did deals with Spectrum and others at the same price point or similar price points. And so that's where the divide is. And so there's no picking who's right. I wrote yesterday, Google's mantra or motto has been, a couple of things, but one is, do no evil. It feels very evil that you're paying $80 a month. You did your end. You didn't get your games this weekend or Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mickey Mouse, I've said before, he's a passive aggressive little rodent. Now they do a lot of great things at Disney, but they also are business people. So not always the happiest place on earth. And so there's nobody to root for here. And we went through though where it's going to take a little longer now because you had college football on Saturday, you had Monday Night Football, no deal. So now I don't really expect anything to happen until this weekend or maybe Monday Night Football next week.
What's the future of streaming? Like, can you get to a point where ABC, CBS, NBC aren't carrying the marquee events? Is that in the linear TV in the not too distant future?
Yeah, I don't think that. I think if you look at all time, maybe, but in terms of in the short term, next decade or so, we're going to have this. I mean, I think a perfect example would be the NBA just did incredible deals for them for $76 billion, and they're going to be on NBC, your Peacock, as well. They're on Amazon Prime, and then they remained on ABC and ESPN. So the idea that Netflix or YouTube TV or Apple or Amazon Prime Video is about to take over everything is a misnomer, at least in the near term. Even when the NFL, which is surely going to opt out when they can at the end of this decade, or at least threaten to opt out, I don't think it will change. I do think you could see a Netflix getting bigger or YouTube TV getting bigger, Amazon Prime Video getting more. I think those are all possibilities, but I don't think, and I think it'd be stupid if the NFL were to get rid of the model they have with ABC and ESPN and the networks. And so, yes, those guys are coming, but they're not fully there yet.
Andrew Marchand, he works for The Athletic. You can also listen to his twice a week podcast at andrewmarchand.com. How good a month did baseball have?
Amazing. I think we all were intrigued. The numbers for Fox, 26 million people watched on Game 7, which is, even if you understand the ratings, because there's a Canadian team, they didn't get the Toronto market. So the home city market, and I think there are another 10 million people or so who watched in Toronto. Those don't count for Fox's ratings. So really good. And the playoffs are always really good. Baseball, look, I've crushed baseball because the way they've done their media deals have been terrible. And they're still bad, and they're pointing towards 2029, and maybe they'll be able to make it so it's a little less complicated. If you're a Yankee fan, for example, you might go 7 days, and you might have to have 7 different entities to watch your games. It's a problem, and so. But the sport as a whole is really doing well. The pitch clock, we all know, is great. Attendance has been very high. The playoffs are exciting and the best time in the sport. So they're going to have to figure out their media deals. But in terms of this month, giving them some momentum going into next year, when they add NBC and Peacock, they are going to be on Netflix for opening day. And then ESPN and ABC deal is going to change a little bit. They have momentum as a sport. Now they got to figure out how to get rid of blackouts and some other things, which they know, and they're not naive to it all. But that's their next step in terms of growing even more.
How has ESPN done bringing in the TNT studio show?
Yeah, I think it's been great. I think I love Charles Barkley like you do. I think we were probably the two who maybe talked to him the most throughout the whole process when he retired and unretired, and he did kind of get into that. He thought, they didn't tell him. I mean, I reported from the beginning they weren't acquiring it to change it. I mean, you see what they've done with Pat McAfee. They license his show. He does his show the way he wants. Stephen A. Smith at this point does whatever he wants. The idea that you're going to bring in those four guys, iconic show, and change it did not make any sense, especially if you watched what ESPN's done. ESPN social media, people go a little crazy. I think some other people who have some big audience did kind of question if ESPN would leave it alone. I never thought they would touch it, and so it's the same program. It's going to be off the air a little bit now till the new year, but then it'll be on every week through the playoffs.
Good to talk to you. Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, Dan.
Andrew Marchand, senior sports media columnist for The Athletic, and you can listen to his podcast. It comes out twice a week, andrewmarchand.com.